So another section that you might find useful is the fleet management. This is where we go to both record things like emergency maintenance, such as, I don't know, you got a cracked windshield, let's say your oil pan just decided to get up and go, anything from there. If you have routine maintenance like oil changes, you can put them in there and it will, when needed, remind you for things like oil changes, tire rotations, and so on like that, as long as you put it in the system, as well as at the end of a given month, quarter, year, however often your bean counter wants to look and total up how much actual money you've been putting into each vehicle. This is something that you could use to tally that up, and it'll let you know if it's time to put, one or more vehicles out to pasture, get something new because it's no longer as reliable as you need it to be. You're dumping too much money into them, and so on. So we go to the fleet management section. First off, what we got to do, it's kind of funny, we got to link up a tracker with a defined vehicle. So we're going to select the tracker. We're going to, typically you'll call it the same thing you named your tracker. This system, for whatever reason, it needs a license plate. It doesn't verify if the license plate is real, and since you're identifying it off the truck name, you can set this to something real or something fake. It needs a license plate and it needs the type of vehicle. Everything else up here, the insurance, the fuel you're putting into it, largely useless. These seem to be used for delivery drivers in Europe, and maybe they make use of it, but I've not found a customer that really finds any value from that. So we're just going to define just the vehicle. Everything up here is great, but again, not really used by any of my customers. If you end up wanting to set up multiple garages, if you've got multiple locations and you want to start scheduling people to put vehicles and they need to be directed where, we can talk about that. But pretty much all customers, if you're one of them listening to this, you're going to, after you define the vehicle, you're going to go over to maintenance. First thing that I'm going to show is how the emergency maintenance or unplanned stuff works. So we're going to add a vehicle in that we just did. We're going to say, I don't know, let's say you decided that your radiator needed to spring a leak and now you need a new one. And I don't know, that costs $800. It's unplanned because who plans a new radiator? And we're going to say we're going to do that on a certain date. You're scheduled to go into the garage on 29th of July. So you can do a push notification that it's going to notify you at the time of service, or we can do 1 day in advance, which would be today. I'm not going to bug the customer, so we're going to say 0 days, so we wouldn't notify them until it is the 29th. We can do push notification to really remind you. We can send an email, or we can do nothing, and it just hangs out in the ether for your recording the data. We're going to hit create. And now we know that it's scheduled. It's scheduled for $729 and its expected cost of $800. Now let's say it's magically tomorrow and this has been done, or you got into the shop early. We can hit execute, and now that is completed. We can see everything. We had 27 engine hours, how many miles were on it, when it happened, etc. So let's say that you're going back to more like things like tire rotations, I don't know, changing out the wipers, oil changes, and so on. Things that are at repetitive, scheduled intervals. What we'll do is click on Add New Service Work. We're going to set it to auto repeat, selecting the vehicle. Call this oil change. And let's say for a big truck like that, it's $150. Since it's scheduled, it is not unplanned. Or we can set it just to email the end user here. Since it's an oil change, it's usually going by mileage. We can see that we currently have 12,658 miles on it. We're going to set this by mileage. And let's say the next time that we have to do it is at 15,000 miles. We're going to do that every 5,000 miles and notify the person by email that it's when it's 500 miles short of that 15,000 mark, or 14,500 miles, it'll shoot them an email. Again, you can do the push notification if you like. We can also set it by engine hours. So if you've got excavators, tractors, other heavy equipment, even forklifts that you want to schedule that sort of service, all you got to do is make sure to sync up your engine hours with what we have in the dashboard here, and that will give you that figure as well. If it's something like wipers or whatever like that, where you're doing it every 6 months or every year by date, you can set that as well. So we're going to hit create, and we can see that, okay, we've got something scheduled. It's whenever the target value is 15,000 miles with no thought to what the date is, because, miles don't care about the calendar. We'll see that it is scheduled there. Now, if we remember, if we were to execute this now, it wouldn't be the next one that wouldn't be 5,000 and short of, or added on to the 15,000 that we had targeted. Since we have about 12,500 miles, we would add 5,000 onto that. So we're going to do it as if we got that oil change today. We hit execute. Yep. So we see the one that we did where the target value was 15,000, but it really was at 12,658. But then we can see that, okay, it created a new one for us. It was created at today's date and time, and it's scheduled for 5,000 miles in addition to when this one was executed. Plus or minus a mile. There's some weird kilometer conversion in there, but you get the gist of it. It is something that every time you hit execute, if it's queued up for an auto repeat, it'll hit it for that next interval. And then you can not miss your oil changes. It'll give you the heads up. You can set those alerts to email the employee or email your shop foreman or fleet manager or whoever needs to see those things, so that you stay on top of these and keep getting that maximum bang for the buck. Last one that we want to look at here is if we select all of the maintenance, we hit download, we can download an Excel sheet, and it'll show us all the maintenance tasks that have happened. We can also get this in as an Excel sheet, so you can throw this to your accounting department. They can break it out by truck, by type, whether it's planned or repeated, what has actually happened or what's scheduled, and they can get those figures of what vehicles are costing us the most money and which ones are paying their own way.